Riddle 1. Stranger Note. A few years ago, my older brother went crazy. He stabbed my sister to death and attacked my parents. The police managed to subdue him before he killed them too. He's been in a mental hospital ever since, and we never visit him. This morning, we got a letter from him in the mail. The postmark was yesterday. I opened it, and inside, I found a strange note. Reading, "Tonight the wind blows colder still. All I know is darkness, never light. The pain will break strongest hearts. My dreams still escape my grasp." I couldn't make any sense of it, so I went to the kitchen and gave it to my mother. As soon as she finished reading it, her face went pale and the note slipped from her fingers. She rushed to the front door and started screaming. Riddle 2. Poor girl. A girl endured terrible bullying every day at school. Some of the girls in her class would even take her to a secluded place and beat her up so nobody would see them doing it. One day, the girl was found lying dead in a pool of blood in the school toilets. The teacher said it was suicide. She had sliced her own wrist and bled to death. They said she left a note behind. It read, "Please excuse the unfortunate mess. I committed suicide, but it was not because I was bullied." Riddle 3. Taking out the trash. This morning, I was awakened by banging and chattering. My wife was downstairs making breakfast. She doesn't usually make this much noise. I went downstairs to the kitchen. My wife had her back to me, and she was cutting something up in the sink. I said, "Good morning," but she ignored me. Then, I remembered what happened last night. My wife caught me cheating on her, and we had a violent argument. So today, she must be giving me the silent treatment. How long can that last? I sat down at the table and asked her when breakfast would be ready, but she continued to ignore me. Then I looked at the clock. It was almost time to go to work. I raced downstairs and hurriedly changed into my suit. When I came back down, my wife was out in the garden doing something. I already take out the trash before I go to work, so I grabbed the big black plastic bag in the kitchen. It was usually heavy. She hadn't just double bagged it. She had used about 4 or 5 black garbage bags. I dragged it out to the end of the driveway and left it on the curb. It was so heavy, I wondered what was in there. My curiosity got the better of me. I untied the knot and took a look inside. Riddle 4. Dead body. One day, I was watching the news when the house I used to live in as a child came up on the screen. It was a breaking news story. They said the dead body of a girl was found buried in the backyard. I was immediately so shocked, I grabbed my phone and called my dad immediately to tell him about it. "Dad, are you watching the news?" I asked. "No," he replied. "Why?" "You'll never guess what happened," I gushed breathlessly. "Remember that old house where we used to live? Well, it's on the news. They found a dead body buried in the backyard. The police are questioning the owners right now." "What?" he replied. "Are you serious? Wow, that's scary." "Yeah, it is scary," I said. "What if it was there back when we were living in the house? We could have been walking back and forth in the garden all the time, unaware that there was a corpse beneath our feet. It freaks me out just to think about it." "Me too," he said. "I never noticed the thing while we were living there, but it's a scary thought, of course. I feel bad for the parents." "Yeah, I do too. They must have been worried sick." "I wonder who buried her there," he said. "It gives me the creeps just thinking about it." "Well, the police are investigating it now," I said. "They'll probably get to the bottom of it eventually." I hope so, said my dad. Riddle 5, apartment building. There's an old, vacant apartment building near me. The city is planning to demolish it soon. I often pass it by on the way home from work. A number of people have committed suicide there by jumping to their deaths. Because of that, they say the ghosts of the suicide victims still haunt the building. At night, the area is quite eerie because there are no streetlights. One night, I had to stay late at work, and it was almost 11 p.m. when I was walking home. I was passing by the apartment building, and it was creeping me out. Just then, I looked up and spotted a shadowy figure on the roof. I thought it was a ghost. My heart almost stopped. Then I took a closer look, and I could make out a person standing there on the roof. All of a sudden, the person jumped. I watched as the figure fell to the ground and landed with a sickening thud. It was horrible. I rushed over and saw that it was a woman. She was lying in a pool of blood on the concrete. Her head was split open and her arms and legs were twisted at odd angles. I immediately called an ambulance on my cell phone. The whole thing upset me so much I was shaking and I thought I was going to be sick. Some people must have heard the sound of her hitting the concrete. When I looked up, people in the apartment building were leaning over their balconies trying to get a look. Soon, the ambulance came and took her away. When I got home, I couldn't sleep a wink. I couldn't get the memory of that horrible scene out of my head. Riddle 6, arguments. There was a married couple who lived in an apartment building with their younger daughter. The husband and wife never got along and were always arguing. One day, they started to quarrel over something small. Their daughter was sitting on the windowsill, listening to them shout at each other. The argument turned into a big screaming match. The daughter couldn't stand to listen to it anymore, so she left. When the parents realized their daughter was gone, they looked out the window and saw her outside. They felt very guilty, so they followed her.